Nestled away inside the inner section of Budapest, I decided on the first day to go and visit Kerepesi Cemetery. This cemetery can be located at Fiume Road. It's often known as well as the Fiume Road National Graveyard. It is the most famous cemetery in Budapest. This is why I had to go and have a look. And it's also one of the oldest in Hungary. So very, very old, and it's pretty well preserved. You will notice it's one of the biggest in Europe. So you guys might notice that I have done a few videos on graveyards, and it's also an area where I was studying. So I was studying the Victorian beliefs, their ideologies of death and burial. So I decided when I was going across, I had a bit of time, I wanted to go and check out the cemetery. So you might think that's a bit weird, but the cemetery is also one of the most beautiful places to see some very fine examples of architecture. So I always like going to them just because you get a lot from them. So they're peaceful, they're away from everyone. Even though you're in, Budapest, the main capital, it's very quiet. So what can I tell you about this cemetery? This cemetery was established in 1847, and nowadays it is actually closed. Even though there's so much space, I was shocked to find out they are no longer accepting burials. It is 56 hectares, which is about 140 acres. It did take a bit of destruction on some World War II. There's a video coming up which you will see a bit more of, but Budapest was completely devastated by World War II. So World War II, it took some damage, really heavy damage, so the graveyard was closed. Nowadays you can't really see much of the bomb damage anymore, but you will notice it's very, very empty in places, so you might think there's plenty of space, why they're not using it. It was basically closed at that point. So like Highgate, this place has lots of Hungarian nobles, lots of famous people there buried. If you go to their page or the Wikipedia page, there is a big list. I'm not going to run through it now because I shamefully don't know that much about Hungarian history. So a lot of these names don't mean anything to me, but again, if you are Hungarian, they wouldn't mean something to you. So what do I think about the cemetery? The cemetery is stunning, so absolutely stunning. It's very much like Highgate, but it is like a city of the dead, so there's lots of big, giant kind of architectural statues which are beautiful to look at. Again, you can see some gorgeous kind of tombstones. You've got things where you can work out what people did during their lives. It's very quiet, and I always love going to graveyards during autumn because you've got the leaves on the floor, it's turning, it's very atmospheric, and you get some really good photos. So if you're a photographer and you haven't gone yet, do it, try it out and put some of your pictures into black and white. They look amazing. So if you want to go and have a look, where can you find it? I've attached a map at the beginning, so go back and you can have a look. It is free to enter. We did struggle with the guard, he didn't understand English, but I showed him the picture, just double checking that I was at the right place, and yep, he let us on site. And they do say allow 2 hours to walk around and get the full view of this place. Also, during Halloween, they light up the graveyard with lots of candles, which is their All Souls Day. So they celebrate, a bit like in Spain where they've got the Day of the Dead, it's similar to that. Coco is coming out, and that's a movie all about the Day of the Dead. So I would definitely recommend you guys go and have a look. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and the architecture is just stunning. I adore looking at the architecture, and it really is a kingdom of the dead because it's all quiet, and you sometimes just think you're in an art museum, to be honest. I actually went there looking for one particular grave, and that was the figure of death. So we walked past it the first time around, we didn't actually know where it was, so we were searching around, and thankfully someone online had said it was off by the back. So we went back to have a look and we found it. Why I think this is one of the most coolest graves I've ever seen is because it's everything you need in a tombstone in its bare bones. It's physically a human with death gently holding him on one shoulder, kind of just always there behind him. One step away is death. So I don't know, I think it's a nice fresh way of looking at it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I have more coming up, and maybe you guys maybe like this new format of me just taking locations and not doing a whole day, instead just focusing on a certain location. So I see you guys again soon, and if you are in Budapest, go and check it out. Bye bye guys.